Friday, July the 19th, and what a difference a day makes in the astrological world. So we are going to talk about this morning's IT crash. So I've made a few notes, so you'll have to forgive me, but there's such a lot to talk about. So I'm just going to read the size of this crash to you. So a worldwide Microsoft Windows blue screen crash caused by a faulty update to the system caused havoc with global IT services today. Airlines had to cancel flights, TV stations were off air, frontline healthcare was paralysed, and banks closed. And this is worldwide. This is a global issue. Okay, so this is this is big. And straight away, my mind goes to, okay, what's the astrology? Now, we actually talked about this astrology last night. Sorry, yesterday anyway. And I said there is a full moon coming, and the full moon, powerful one, because the moon is actually conjunct Pluto opposing the sun. So it's a full moon with Pluto at the moon's end. But Pluto is, of course, in a long-running T-square with Haumea and Eris. And so therefore we can't really discount those two. And Pluto has just moved into Aquarius, so it's in new territory. Okay, so we have quickly found out what it is that Pluto is going to target, and it is IT. And this was fairly obvious anyway, because Aquarius is all about communication systems, information technology, data. Okay, so let's start with this. Let's start with what happens when Pluto moves into a new zodiac sign. Right, the first thing that Pluto is going to do is test out the qualities of this zodiac energy. So what is the energy all about? And is it fit for purpose? Will it be fit to build life upon? Because at the end of the day, Pluto is about the regeneration of life forever and ever. And this is the most important thing to Pluto. So single ants in the ant colony doesn't matter. There's of no consequence to Pluto. Pluto's overall force and energy is about the continuation of life itself, Mother Nature, the huge global and dimensional and universal issue of life itself. And this is what Pluto will focus on relentlessly with a single intent. Now, I want to remind you that in Greece, Pluto, before he became Lord of the Underworld, was known to be associated with riches. And Pluto does bring riches, but it can be in a very brutal way for some of those ants. However, overall, Pluto wants to enrich and wants to bring about the circumstances in which life can continue sustainably, built on something sustainable, something that will go on forever. Now, if Pluto begins to work on something and it isn't good enough, it isn't secure enough, it's dodgy ground, then what will happen is Pluto will quickly realize this and will not stop. He will completely raise everything to the ground if that is what is required. What Pluto has to do is make sure that he gets back to solid bedrock or something solid, which is fit for purpose, is fit for the future, and then start the building all over again. Okay, so Pluto is responsible for birth and death, because when something dies, something can be reborn. Out of great death comes great birth. Okay, now, so let's just look at Pluto moving into the sign of Aquarius. So all those things I talked about, so information technology, data, communication, global communications, science, as in cutting edge science when it comes to things that are digital, so, and quantum, all this kind of stuff, you know, quantum physics and everything, all very sort of exciting. And this is it's massive. Aquarius is a zodiac sign that I have been focusing on for a while and saying Aquarius is changing. There's something happening to the Aquarian energy. It's changing. Something is coming up onto the horizon of Aquarius. A new something, a new communication, a new way of seeing things. We have a new view. We are in another, it's like we're in another dimensional view, or have another dimensional view. Aquarius is revealing another layer of itself, like layers of an onion. We're going to see a new layer of Aquarius, something to do with light and communication, realization, intelligence. And I guess it will be to do with astral travel, leaving our bodies and traveling as intelligence, being able to enter the world where, yes, there can be communication and intelligence, but it happens outside of our current space-time. It happens in the multiverse in ways that we can't even conceive of yet. Aquarius allows itself as a force and energy to be the energy that can accommodate the new world, the new view, the new place that humans must travel, even if it's as consciousness or intelligence. I think there is a long way for us to go, and I think all of the zodiac signs in their way have to open up to the next layer, the next level, in order that we can see them and use them in different ways. But I think Cancer and Aquarius are the two that, for me at the moment, are most obviously the ones that are changing and allowing us to have a different astrology. Let me just remind you, we don't need astrology to tell us that life is changing, but we do need an astrology to describe it. And this is what we're in the process of seeing. The astrological energies themselves are changing to allow us to have new speech, new views, new communications, new ways of describing, new ways of understanding. Okay, Pluto's move into Aquarius is part of this, because what Pluto has to do is it has to take Aquarius apart, test it. Is it fit for purpose? Will it enable the human race? Will it be an energy which we can get to know, use, manipulate, maybe, certainly work with? Will it be useful? Okay, so Pluto is going to do this. The backdrop to this, don't forget, is moving into the age of Aquarius, which we definitely have done, out of the age of Pisces. And so there's all these signposts now. And I have been saying for many months, sorry to repeat myself, this is the rise of the feminine. And you can say, well, how can the rise of the feminine have so much masculine content? Well, that's just the way it goes. It's needed to support the rise of the feminine. Okay, now let's just go to this incident, right? Because and I have to look at these notes again because it's all happening so fast, and so I've had to take some notes. But okay, so we mustn't forget that Pluto is backed up by Haumea and Eris. These are dwarf planets. Now, let's just ask ourselves this question. This whole act, right, of bringing down, of crashing the entire Microsoft system worldwide, was this a malevolent action, by a capricious deity or cosmos intent on destruction. And I'm going to go yes and no, for the very reasons that I've just spoken to you about. It depends what Pluto had something else in mind. And this is typical of the behavior or the events symbolized by the dwarf planets, all of the dwarf planets. They will look at the systems and the structures within their sphere of influence. And if something is built on dodgy ground and it's unsustainable, they will collapse the whole thing when they get their hands on it, when they get their energy wrapping around it. Then there is something in that force that goes, this needs dissolving, and this has got to be gotten rid of. Get a rubber, rub all that out, take it back to a bare canvas, start again. This is how the dwarf planets work. This is what they're saying. And Pluto, at the end of the day, is a pretty powerful energy. It's atomic. Okay. So this destruction, and this is why I'm going to say, well, is it destructive? Yes, it is, but no, it isn't. Is this destruction? This destruction is necessary to rout out the bad apple, right? It's got to cause the breakup of things that will not sustain future demands. So this is an axiom. It's a tenet of life, sorry, a tenet of life, right? And this is what Pluto is involved in. This is why Pluto is as it is. Now, we could go back to some mythology if you like. So Lord of the Underworld, Pluto, Hades, gets in his golden chariot and goes round his world, checking every single morning that everything is hidden, that everything is still secret, that nothing can be seen, that nothing can be seen by the overworld, that everything is kept in secrecy and secure. Now, what this is saying is that this is Pluto, Hades, checking on everything. Is this secure? Is this viable? Will this last? We get these clues in mythology. Okay, now let's go back to the question. Is this a destructive act by a malevolent cosmos? Okay, let's say that you are the engineer working for the cybernet firm CrowdStrike. Now, this firm CrowdStrike is responsible for keeping ahead. Let me just get this right. I just want to get it. CrowdStrike is a cybernet security service designed to stop internet breaches or hacks for the world's biggest companies. Okay, the world's biggest companies, right? Like everything, banks, and okay, this is breathtaking, right? So we've got this engineer working for this cybernet company, and he's uploading an update, an ordinary update. Okay, no problems, and pushes the button and uploads a security update that causes a global IT system crash, right? It stops life as we know it, right? Well, then you may well think that Pluto, if you're the engineer, you may well think that Pluto is very destructive, because there is possibly going to be quite a lot in the engineer's life that seems destructive as a result. And I've got to include Haumea and Eris in this. Let's take the case of shareholders, right? If you're a shareholder with Microsoft or CrowdStrike shares, then you might agree with the engineer, because I can't imagine the hefty damage claims that these companies can put in to CrowdStrike. I mean, they must be astronomical. In which case, that might put a bit of a dent in company profits, in which case, as a shareholder, you may not get all the dividends that you're used to. Yes, Pluto is going to seem like a destructive force. However, if you're sitting here like me, just looking on this, and let's take a long-term view. Let's take a view from the next planet, right? Let's just go through space, land on the next planet, and look back at Earth, right? Is this a good thing? Is it a destructive thing? It's a good thing. Because without this warning, it could have been much worse. Pluto needed to flag this up to degrade or to destroy this system where they think they're doing an update and there's a bug in it, but for some reason they don't check their own systems, do they? So there's a bug in something they send out to the world as a Microsoft update. Okay, well, I now think this is a good thing because we're still here and our banks are still working and people have been able to, for the main part, I mean, I'm sure there's been terrible inconvenience for some people, but for the main part, it's not as bad as it could have been. And so therefore, I'm going to say, no, this is a brilliant thing by Pluto, because what will happen then now is now these people know what they're playing with and get an opportunity to see how very fragile the system was. And so now they get to, having been Plutoed, as in raised everything to the ground, they now get to examine it and build again, regenerate. And this is Pluto's main thing. Take everything from what it is now to what it must become in whatever way is the proper way to do that, in whatever way is needed, destructive or not, however much destruction. Pluto says, yeah, but that's all got to go no matter what, because this has to be better for the future. It's this view from another planet, the future. That's what matters to Pluto, not single lives. Okay, so we've got this single software bug, and they're responsible for world security, etc. So you can see really that it's this was about due, wasn't it? Really, I think so. Okay, now this has come at the time of the full moon. Actually, the full moon is on Sunday, but the events always happen just before. And I think the astrology has been magnificent with how it has shown this. The astrology itself on paper, matching it with the events, fantastic. I mean, I'm sorry if you're, I meant it, the astrology is fantastic, not the chaos and the inconvenience and some of the awful things that may have happened to people as a result. Sorry, they're not fantastic. But what I'm saying is fantastic that we can look at astrology and begin to make sense of it, understand it, because when this gets out there, it infiltrates, gets into the news and stuff like that, then the right thing happens, as far as I'm concerned. Then there is a chance to put the system right before anything else happens, if you see what I mean. So as far as I'm concerned, the astrology worked very well. It's brilliant. It's doing well. So for Pluto in Aquarius, yeah, keep going, mate. For my money, definitely, you keep going, because this is the sort of thing that we need. Now, this has been caused by a full moon. Okay. The planets are there for quite a while. Every time the sun, the moon, or Mars gets into the action by aspect, so many degrees, causing them to increase the pressure or increase the action around the astrology, then we will get this kind of thing. Of course, it lessens as time goes on because things are repaired, put back properly, and and therefore we don't need to have the experience again. We have covered it and made it viable, made it sustainable. And that's the message of Pluto. Pluto is going to move back into Capricorn for a while soon, and then move fully into Aquarius in 2025. So we'll see more of this in 2025 than we're seeing this year. This is just a taster. Or maybe the taste just taught us a lesson, in which case it will be the full lesson. Okay, that was fantastic to talk to you about. I'm so pleased to be able to just jump on this and go straight away, bang, this is it. This is what I think I was saying this yesterday. This is it. This is the event. Great astrology. Hope that was useful for you. Please do keep watching me. I do these videos 5 days a week, Monday to Friday, on my YouTube channel, Alice and Chester-Lambert, on my Facebook page, Alice and Chester-Lambert with a hyphen between Chester and Lambert. And don't forget, if you want a reading, here I am. In fact, I'll give you a discount if you, here am I, just off my cuff. So yeah, if you want a reading, get in touch and say, I heard you say this at the end of the Pluto video, and I'll make sure that you're looked after, don't you worry. Right, okay, I'm going to say goodbye now, and I'll see you on Monday. Bye.